Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ review, number 185. And I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of NoDQ. Of course, Aaron Rift. Walter Cruz is back in the house, and Jeff Meacham is also here to discuss wrestling this evening. Gentlemen, what's up? Jeff, I'll come to you first since you haven't been on for a minute.
He's drinking.
Yeah, of course, because it's Thursday night on NoDQ. You know what that means. But I have not been on actually since my birthday week, so it's been almost 2 months, and I'm happy to be back. There's a interesting set of topics that I think people are gonna be surprised at my opinions on tonight. So it'll be a fun ride, to be sure.
Oh, we always got the topics, man. So I know you're ready to rock and roll.
And brother, let's do the thing.
Walter, you're like a staple on here now while Jargo's settling in Indianapolis. Robbie's off this week. Big G, I guess, wasn't happy to be here tonight.
Aww.
Here you are again. What's up?
Nothing much. How are you guys? I'm glad to be back. New record, 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, you're in the chat. You're in the NoDQ review chat. That means you're part of the team. And I have to tell you, Aaron, it's been pretty stagnant with wrestling lately in general. Is this just like a post-WrestleMania hangover or what? Like, just in general, I think people are burned out. Like, how have your other videos been doing? Any excitement, like any things on the site that are getting good clicks?
It's just the post-Mania blues. You had all the buzz and all the talk about WrestleMania, and things have cooled off a little bit, but we do have WrestleMania Backlash coming up. The thing is, though, there's no unified WWE title match set for the pay-per-view, and it's coming up in just over a week. We do have Double or Nothing coming up. Hangman Adam Page defending against CM Punk. That has been established. May should be a pretty interesting month. We do have the WrestleMania Backlash and Double or Nothing, and then later this summer, we got the stadium shows. I'm looking forward to those. We got Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. We have that United Kingdom premium live event. That one's going to be really fun. So there's stuff to come. We're just in that period right now. You got the NBA playoffs, so it's kind of like people are drawn to other television right now, other sports, and wrestling's kind of taking a back seat. But the shows have been good. I've enjoyed the shows for the most part. We're just going to have to see how the discussion goes tonight and see if we can get some heated discussion as we talk about what's going on in the world of wrestling.
According to Mr. Pitmark in the chat, I know nothing about wrestling, yet here I am, 185 episodes. Aaron Rift still allows me to come on here and give my hot takes, my opinions. And, we have something pretty cool.
We timed his ass out the other night, big jerk.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
We have something cool that we'll announce later in the show for NoDQ review number 200. And I know it's early. We got several weeks, a few months before that gets here, but I want to start planting the seeds and getting people excited for that show. First topic, Aaron, you mentioned it. WrestleMania Hangover. Roman Reigns doesn't even have a title match for Backlash yet. And where is Roman Reigns? Why we know he's been doing house shows. He's made some appearances on TV, but you have 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. You have 2 hours of SmackDown. He's your big champion, beating Brock Lesnar, and we hardly see this guy. Now, the Usos are focusing on winning the tag titles, so you know what they're doing. They're killing time. They're biding time. But Reigns should be on every show. And remember the old Austin formula? You had him every hour. On the top of the hour, he was at a backstage segment, and it all culminated to the end of the show. Something happened. They can do this with Roman Reigns. Jeff Meacham. I talk a lot about Reigns. We didn't feature him tonight. I kind of threw this in last minute just to kick off the show. He should be on both shows live there. And if he's off for a week, do some pre-tapes backstage where you can have a couple segments the week he's not going to be there. That can be done in wrestling if you plan ahead. What are they doing with Roman Reigns? I mean, come on. He's their main guy. And Brock is even back on the farm.
Right? It's one of those Virtue. We talked about this a lot on open mic night when we had double open mic nights last week on the Jeff Meacham Network. I'm so old school. I don't mind necessarily the champion not being there every week, but then again, I came up during the Hulk Hogan really appeared on TV at all unless he was cutting a promo brother. Roman, it's a different era for us as wrestling fans, as sports entertainment fans now, that we need at least to see the champion make some sort of presence. Whether it's like you said, a pre-tape backstage, or whether it's something of that nature. And as the guy who's the head of the table, the tribal chief of this bloodline that is, quite frankly, carrying the show right now with them and RK Bro leading into WrestleMania Backlash next Sunday. The fact that we're not seeing Roman at all is stranger than the fact that he's not defending the championship now. He could still be banged up from WrestleMania. Him and Brock really beat each other up pretty well at WrestleMania down in Texas. So it doesn't surprise me that he's not doing as much. But not appearing at all is a completely different animal.
Well, he is working matches at the house shows. So
right, but he's not going full tilt. He's not going full what we normally see at Roman Reigns, which is just the complete
Is this
intensity.
a foreshadow, Jeff? Are they just trying to kill time because in their mind they're going to put this super long title reign, at least with the Universal title, on him, and so they're just killing weeks, killing months? Like, I have a feeling they could get into that a lot right now. And it sucks because you don't see him, and you want to see him being cocky, bragging, who's going to come after me next. I don't think you can't get any more sick of Roman Reigns than the haters have already been over the last 6 years. So why not shove him down everybody's throats?
Yeah, it comes down to virtue the fact that, we all bitched about being sick of Roman Reigns for 6 years. They gave us what we wanted, and now he's been champion for so long. Oh, we're sick of him again. It's like, it's that famous word that Daniel Bryan used when he was WWE champion. Everybody's fickle. It's like they can't make up their minds. They want Roman to be champion, but then they don't want to be champion forever. It's like, you guys need to make up your minds. And Aaron and I talk about this a lot at PWG about the make up your mind chance. Because I always would, when you do a chance, make up your mind. It's like, settle on something. Quit being fair weather, quit being fickle. If you want Roman to be this guy, then let him be this guy and let it play out, as TJS always says.
Exactly. Now, Walter Cruz, what's your input here?
Yeah, it's strange. At least you would think in the social media era, they'll show tweets he's done, just something to remind you who the champ is and what he's doing. The only thing I can think of maybe non-storyline wise is he asked for time off and they gave it to him while being the champ, or maybe he is banged up.
Do some pre-records from his house where he's sitting there just living life, right? With the pool.
That's what I mean, yeah. Or take pictures on social media of both championships, like CM Punk did in the refrigerator and all that. Like, do something to keep it up. I'm not sure what they're doing, mate. Maybe Vince has it in his head that absent makes the heart founder, and so his return will have a bigger impact. I'm not sure what they're doing, but it's not the smartest business decision right now.
No, but again, right, they always have the reasons, and they're a successful company in terms of making money. So, Aaron Rift, I know some super chats came in. Your take here. We don't have to talk about Roman too much because we already do. That's why I kind of wanted to get it out of the way.
Let's see. Walter, even though he's part of the panel tonight, graciously sent in a super chat. He says, remember, say yes to NoDQ and tell a friend. That's right. Make sure you guys share a link to this video if you're enjoying it. Tell a friend, spread the word. Word of mouth really does go a long way. Now, my take on Roman not really having that much of a presence, especially on Raw. He is doing some of the backstage stuff on SmackDown. I think there are two reasons. One reason is that they're killing time until WrestleMania Backlash. And number two, I don't really think they're sure what to do with the Universal / WWE title at this point. The titles were unified, and now that they're unified, what do you do? I think they should have had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Roman Reigns at Backlash and let the other matches be the center of attention. Just let Nakamura be a throwaway opponent. Doesn't look like they're doing that. We do know the spoilers for SmackDown. It's pretty clear the new direction for Roman Reigns moving forward. So we're not going to really get into that right now. But I think that with WrestleMania Backlash coming up, we'll start to see Roman on the shows again. I think it's mostly just killing time for the past couple weeks until it's time to set up the next Roman Reigns match. But what's funny is if they go with this Roman Reigns title match at WrestleMania Backlash, you're literally going to have like a 1 week build for it, which is crazy to me. Like if you're going to put a Roman Reigns match on the premium live event, you should give that like a solid month buildup. Otherwise, I would just have Roman be off this show. Let him take one show off and focus on the other matches. Focus on letting Ronda Rousey have her main event. But yeah,
this is the negative of not building stars. You don't build any new stars. Now you don't know what to do with them, and you don't know who to go for.
Yeah, and I'm still thinking he's going to drop one of those titles at some point. I just think they're trying to figure that out right now.
There's Mr. Mark.
You should be spending this time to build someone. Mr.
Mark Squad saying CM Punk is better, and I'm going to say I agree at drawing under 1 million people weekly. Absolutely. Listen, I love CM Punk. When he had that run from 2011 to 2014, the promos he cut, the McMahon where he slapped him in the face that one night on Raw, that was some of the greatest stuff. And of course, we know now he wasn't happy there. And to me, Punk and AEW is just, blah, whatever. And at WWE, there would be that controversy because we would all be thinking, what's he doing? Like he's working with Vince McMahon again. With Tony Khan, he's just another pawn on the chessboard. And you folks like that, great. To me, Punk's been forgettable since he's been back.
I was just going to say that.
I like CM Punk. I want him and Reigns to have a feud. Ain't going to happen unless he went back to WWE.
I'm a big Punk fan, but
I don't know where that topic came out of, but we don't talk about CM Punk enough. Why?
I'm a big Punk fan, but you signed so many people, and so many people made a debut after him that his run has become forgettable.
Yep, Jeff.
So I was just going to say there's a chat over on my side of things. They're saying that Roman should only be defending the championship on the Big Five. And I always like that philosophy of the world champion, the top guy defends on the major shows. And then the B shows, are just that. They're the B shows. So
now, what did they do back in the day, Jeff? When they did that, you have to defend the title every 30 days. All those title defenses on the house shows, is that how it got the champion by?
Yeah, but you know what the problem is? Your mid-card titles don't hold the weight anymore. They're not strong enough. Back in the day, everybody would chase the Intercontinental title instead of the WWE title because it was so strong, and it was that rung right before you became WWE champion. You became Intercontinental champion, and it was important. Since those belts aren't important anymore, you have to defend the WWE title on every pay-per-view.
There's definitely a different talent and overall being over the audience level from Mr. Perfect to Ricochet. I'm not going to lie, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going with Theory as U.S. champion now, so maybe they'll do something since he's Vince's boy. But at the end of the day, Ricochet, I forgot Ricochet was champion until that's right, he's champion. I keep having to do that in my head, which was the whole problem when Nakamura was champion and when Zayn was champion. That championship used to be the championship. There's people in this room and in our little circle that wanted a replica IC title more than the world title because that's how important that championship was. And now it's like, who's champion this week?
Right.
I remember it when Macho Man, Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart especially, when they had those titles, it meant something. Even Jeff Hardy in the 2000s, the title meant something. Yep. I don't know where it went. I don't know where the downfall for those belts. Okay, Vince stopped caring about it, and then he just made us all stop caring about it. It's hard to remember who's champ every week. It is. Jeff's right.
And we're going to talk about that with AEW coming up here. Aaron, back to you. I don't know if you got to the super chats.
Yeah, we do have a few, so let me get to those. And in Ricochet's defense, he's already had a better run than Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura did jack with that title. Let's be real.
That wouldn't take much effort, though, boss, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very low bar set by Nakamura.
Low bar.
Anyways, Psycho Jet Black sent in $5. Thank you. Says, I think they're waiting for Money in the Bank so that the winner could cash in on Roman Reigns taking the WWE title while Roman keeps the Universal title. That is very well how it could end up playing out, with somebody cashing in Money in the Bank on Roman Reigns and taking the WWE title back over to Raw. But it's just crazy to me that Reigns hasn't even really been on Raw either as the double champion.
That's not it was brought up in the chat. They're trying to keep the focus on Cody, which makes sense to me also.
Right.
They are getting that push right up Cody's rear end. Just here, he's back. Look.
Right.
It's not a bad idea either to do that, but if you make a babyface win, the whole surprise is going to get ruined because babyfaces like to announce ahead of time when they're going to cash in, and it's like it kind of ruins the Money in the Bank. Not always, but a majority of the time.
Speaking of Money in the Bank, Dwayne Atkinson sent in $2. Thank you, Dwayne. Says, Cody or Drew McIntyre, who would you pick to win Money in the Bank? Note that he is picking two baby faces. I could see Cody winning it this year. I could definitely see that being a scenario. But the thing is, like you said, Walter, Cody is a baby face, so one would think that if he wins, he's going to call his shot and say, I want Roman Reigns at SummerSlam or whenever. And if Drew McIntyre won it, maybe Roman Reigns beats Drew McIntyre in a match, and then McIntyre wins Money in the Bank and then wants Roman Reigns in September in the United Kingdom. Although I'm thinking it's going to be McIntyre versus Tyson Fury at that United Kingdom show. But what do you guys think? Like, who would be your early pick for Money in the Bank, Jeff?
I mean, I theorized last week just Cody, just to have that little extra, like, incentive. It's like, I came back with the championship and now I can whenever I want. So yeah. I put it on Cody personally.
I thought your theory was going to be theory.
No, because my theory was theory, and I'd be saying theory 500 times, and then we'd be going off in another hour of the show. We don't want that with me on it. So.
Virtue, what do you think? Who's your pick?
I'm sticking to my guns. Seth Rollins is going to win it, and he's going to use that to weasel his way into the main event of SummerSlam, which will be Cody versus Roman Reigns, and Rollins can make that a triple threat so Reigns can. I don't know what title's going to be on the line either, but right. I think Seth Rollins is going to win Money in the Bank circa WrestleMania 31 time era. Remember when he cashed in there? So
yeah. All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in another $2 super chat. Thank you. Says, I forgot that Ricochet is still employed by WWE.
Wow. Well, that's like Mustafa. They did that to Mustafa. You're still work here?
Right.
He's on the docket for tonight, right, Virtue?
Yes.
Okay, I definitely want to talk about that.
But out of those two, to answer the previous question, I would pick Cody. This is why I wish WWE would bring back old WCW pay-per-views. Because imagine if you had Starrcade in September or something. You give Cody the Money in the Bank. Where's he going to cash it in? His father's pay-per-view, Starrcade. That you should have used old WCW pay-per-views.
Well, maybe he can cash it in at Halloween Havoc. Go for the NXT title.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. But his dad is known for Starrcade, and that would be like perfect storytelling.
If the thing is, they're not doing December pay-per-views right now. They didn't do it last year because of the day one. Put Starrcade back in December. Shit. Make it have Cody be WWE champion. Why the heck not?
Just imagine the emotion behind you winning it at Starrcade in the name of your father. Like
that would be.
I would cry. I think I would cry.
Well, both companies need to make excitement and not the same old song and dance. Absolutely. AEW and Tony Khan's announcements that are really only for his fan base.
Oh my God!
WWE just killing time. So both companies are to blame right now for wrestling just kind of being in a stagnant period post WrestleMania, and they can both do better. So, Aaron, are we ready to move on? You got anything else?
No, but Michael Wayne says Grand Jury is going to be the UK pay-per-view name.
Right, because Edge's squad took the Judgment Day name, so
makes sense.
Are they bringing that back as a premium live event or just for his name? Or for the group's name?
No. They're using Grand Jury for the name because Edge's stable is Judgment Day. So.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. All right. Jeff Meacham. So, since they were released from WWE, they've been circling the indies, and I'm talking about Enzo and Big Cass. They've been in several indie promotions. Big Cass XL is in Impact Wrestling. I think he's got a scheduled appearance coming up for AEW. I'm not sure what's going on with any of that or not, but we'll see. But with Tony Khan, he wants to break those forbidden doors, and they did stuff with Impact anyway in the past. But these two guys are primed for WWE, and the reason why I say that is I think they've grown up. They're in great shape. I know a couple of years ago, Cass had some issues with Janela, some drinking problems, but they seem to have grown up. They're getting indie bookings. They look great. Enzo can talk and take bumps. I know he's not the big wrestler, right? He's a manager. He's more of a mouthpiece.
Right.
Cass, I'm not saying come in and have him beat Roman Reigns, but like put them two together again as a tag team, fight against the Usos. WWE needs these guys. They need charisma. Heels, baby faces actually is what they would be. And it worked. Jeff Meacham, they sold merch. I don't even care about Enzo and that whole cruiserweight thing. This is now, and if they came back, I think they could make the WWE money, and they drew ratings back then. I mean, I know we're not talking Attitude Era ratings, but when Enzo was on camera, when they were on TV, they popped numbers. People were interested in the shtick. WWE always mends fences, it seems like, at one point or another. Like, I don't know. What do you think? I want to see these two guys, probably more than anybody else out there, on the big stage again. And I would settle for them to be in AEW. Again, more people over there. What does that really mean? But Jeff Meacham, we know your past about Enzo.
Yes.
So go.
I'm going to surprise the NoDQ Galaxy and my audience watching as well and say I wouldn't mind if they came back. I really wouldn't. And only because it seems, well, like you said, Enzo definitely seems to have settled his tea kettle, as Natty would say, and not been quite the prick that he was or allegedly was when he was in WWE. Morrissey's been doing a great job with Impact. He's allegedly going to be MJF's surprise for Wardlow next Wednesday. So I'm okay with them coming back into the mainstream consciousness. The thing is, I don't want the same old shtick. Like, if they're gonna bring them both back and they're gonna do the bit, that's great, but it definitely needs to not be the same repetitious stuff every week. I was a fan of theirs when they first came in. I've said this on NoDQ. I've said this on my stuff since then, and I agree with my dad when they brought him in because my dad's still a fan for reasons. I think if they bring back the basic idea of the gimmick, but change up the same old routine every week, I'd be better about it.
All right, fair enough.
And they never did have the tag titles, so I wouldn't be opposed if they initially came back that way. And what if the Usos win they unify them, and
Right.
then boom, Big Cass and Enzo win it. That crowd would probably pop for that, considering how dominant the bloodline will be up to that point.
If I remember right, they were really over in Vegas when WWE ran through Vegas when they were on the roster. If they showed up for Money in the Bank to face the Usos, that would be a gangbuster reaction and a bigger one if they won the titles. So,
and it's weird. I understand the controversy and the backstage antics that Enzo had, but like Vince usually forgives a lot of people when you push merch.
Right.
So Walter Cruz, what do you think here? And maybe Enzo wants nothing to do with wrestling other than a few indie dates, and Cass is happy in Impact. Maybe he'll end up in AEW. But what do you think?
I think everybody should be allowed to grow and mature and change from where you were. But there's an old cliche about first impressions. They rub people the wrong way, and maybe Vince can't just see past that. I grant a lot of the people that they rub the wrong way are not even in the company anymore. So I really don't know what's stopping him from re-signing them. Like a majority of the people they run the wrong way no longer work for WWE. So why not bring them back? I mean, everybody deserves a second chance. You gave Ultimate Warrior another chance. You gave Hulk Hogan another chance. Why not these two?
Exactly. And it's not like you can't, figure out how to make money off of them too, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. We've been talking about this since they've been gone, and then there was a hiccup or they disappear for a while, and I just figured it was pretty good to talk about.
And Enzo's mic skills are top tier, so I don't know why
people would tune those guys coming back, and even if AEW landed them, that AEW, it seems like Aaron, everybody they've had, there's just not that buzz. Yeah, I mean, Joe showed up since Punk. Punk was the huge buzz. It happened. There's been really nothing where you see somebody in that ring talking and you want to stop and listen. I think Enzo and Cass in an AEW ring would be exciting. Obviously, back in WWE as well. And anybody that hates them, you can't deny that fact that would be interesting because people would want to see what they have to say. Aaron?
I agree with that. I think Jeff said it really well. I think if they do come back, it would be nice for them to change it up a little bit. Maybe Enzo can have some new catchphrases. I feel like if they just come back and do the same exact thing, they'll just be a nostalgia act. I think it's really important that they change it up a little bit and evolve a little bit as characters. But to me, they're too entertaining, especially Enzo, to not be in a major league. And I'm hopeful that if it is in fact Big Cass appearing on next week's Dynamite, which I'm thinking it is, that was a pretty obvious tease with MJF saying you can't teach that about this guy that's bigger than Wardlow. I hope it goes well. I hope Cass shows up and gets a great reaction and has a solid performance in the ring, and maybe AEW will consider Enzo. And maybe if Enzo and Cass are around more often, maybe Vince will take notice and we'll get Enzo and Cass back on WWE television. Now, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says Enzo versus Max Caster versus DJ Meacham in a rap battle. DJ Meacham, where did that come from?
Okay, so before we even comment on the absurdity of me being a DJ, because my music taste is just not there at all.
Eagles?
Well, the Eagles are not a good clubbing type music situation. Anyway, what's that? Again, same difference.
Aladdin soundtrack?
What?
Is this all Meacham hits?
Yeah. Sure. I don't like Max Caster rapping because of how he starts his raps, and Aaron knows exactly why. There we go. Right along.
Yo, listen.
Exactly. No, yeah, yo, yeah. The yos have it, and they make me sick. Anyway,
the stereotype. That's pretty much just a stereotype.
He should say, "Hey, listen."
Well, if you bring them back, are you bringing them back to NXT 2.0 or straight to the main roster?
Oh, main roster for sure. Why would they be in NXT?
Just to develop better ring skill. I don't know why they would, but Enzo seems like he would fit in 2.0, not regular NXT, but the
faction part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Let's make that clear, Walter.
Yeah.
I mean, time always tells with wrestlers. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting there telling everybody I want to see Ryback back, Alberto Del Rio.
Why would you do that?
Enzo because they're controversial, and I'd love to see them on TV to see people bitch about it. But I'm a realist, and to me, Enzo and Cass really could be there. I'm not being delusional with that. I just hope that something happens. There's two major companies, and hey, if they show up in AEW, or at least if Cass shows up there, I could be like, hey, you got somebody that I'm interested in. Good for you, Tony Khan.
They have a way better chance.
It won't be something bad that it's not, I love putting things over from AEW from time to time because it proves that I don't hate everything about them. Aaron, another super chat came in.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love coming home with these chats in this room. It's so much fun. Jesus.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, who'd be a better rapper, Ricochet or Von Wagner?
Jeff Meacham.
Jeff Meacham. Wow. I will go on the record and say Jeff could rap better than either of those two. So Ricochet would probably be the bottom, but Ricochet and Von Wagner, they're roughly at the same level, which is Jeff Meacham could take them in a rap battle. That's all I got to say.
I'd rather wear earplugs.
Guys with potential for days, and we're making fun of them in a rap battle, and I'm beating both of them.
I'd like to hear
throwing that out there, folks.
You know who I'd like to hear in that rap battle? Robot Robbie. He was on the review last week.
Yeah, I like that.
That would be entertaining.
Robot.
Well, Robbie. Yeah, you can pick this up at NoDQ.com/merch. By the way. All right, Aaron, we caught up.
Yep.
Okay, Walter Cruz. We had some returns on Monday Night Raw. Ali, what a surprise based on he wanted to be released from WWE, took his ball and went home, and here he is on TV. And of course, we all knew Asuka was going to come back at some point, and what a good way to bring her back and have her, feud against Becky. We all know what happened when Becky forfeited the title or gave it up to Asuka when she went off to maternity leave. It was a different Becky back then, but there's some story to be finished here. I absolutely do like Asuka returning and mixing it up with Becky, and a title doesn't even need to be on the line. Walter Cruz. Two people came back. One was quite shocking because you know how it goes with WWE. And could you imagine if they're like, come back, this is your contract, you got to work. And he knew he was going to get buried all the time, right? He doesn't have to. I don't know how that breach of contract works, but what do you think about this?
I'm glad to see Ali back on TV. I got to give it up for his professionalism, because if he really wanted to be released, he could have just did an obscene gesture. He could have not went with the story, said something, and they would have terminated him when he walked back through the curtain. So,
crowd.
Yeah,
good point.
He could have did a cross chop, anything, said something vulgar. So kudos for him being professional. And it looks like they're doing something with him, because he immediately got attacked by Ciampa after. Although I don't know why they cut to a commercial or a backstage segment as soon as it happened. They gave no time for us to digest that happened. So I don't know what they were thinking with that. And in terms of Asuka, you definitely don't need a title for her to come back with Becky. She won Money in the Bank. Becky gave her the title and announced that she was pregnant. You can see how surprised Asuka was. That was a legit reaction on Asuka's face. The story tells itself. There's history there. It's a perfect thing it was a perfect way to bring her back. They actually did a good job with that one.
Yeah, with Becky's new attitude and Asuka's still the same old Asuka, I think this could be a good little non-title feud and, keep them both relevant. Like, hey, whoever comes out of this might get a shot at the title again. We got Money in the Bank coming up anyway. Jeff Meacham.
They just need to keep Asuka off the mic. Man. Just keep her off the mic. Let her kick ass and no mic.
Well, an interesting observation here with the Japanese wrestlers and Vince McMahon being, in gorilla position. You ever notice, like, both Asuka, and I get it, it's her gimmick, and Nakamura kind of do the jiving dance and weird entrance, and I just wonder if is that just maybe that's them and what excites them and their culture, or is that Vince McMahon saying, "Hey, you guys need something to go out there and dance,"
I don't know. Like that in Japan. They were like that in Japan. I think that's just them being charismatic.
And it's just funny.
I don't think Asuka turned it up when she got to the main roster. She didn't quite do. Like Nakamura was always eccentric.
She was kind of being more like a.
At least Asuka has the phrase though. She has.
Might be a
nobody's
coincidence.
Ready for Asuka. Nakamura just has the "come on." At least there's a phrase for Asuka.
So Jeff.
Yes.
Did you answer this? Ali, Asuka.
So I'm actually I was a fan of it. I was a fan of Asuka coming back and actually confronting Becky, because again, they're doing this more and more this year, this long-term storytelling. Like, they're actually connecting threads that have been, kind of laid down long enough ago where the usual WWE fan would forget about it. And they remembered, because, the whole thing with Becky was every day she's been active since that train wreck of WrestleMania back in Jersey, she's been a champion. So it was a big deal for her to finally lose decisively and cleanly. And, the person she willingly gave the title up for in order to go off and do maternity leave was Asuka. So there's definitely unfinished business between the two of them. And I think that's a great way to get them back together, is connect that thread. And I wouldn't say it should have been right away, but again, we're in the network era and we're in the post golden era, so everything's booked within a 4-week period. So I'm here for the match, however it goes down. It's gonna be good.
And you care much about Ali?
Oh, Ali. Okay, yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Hey, look, you're different.
I mean, that tells you all you need to know, right?
It's just one of those. I don't know how to feel about it, because it was so much of a part of the presentation that he did not want to go back, did not want to be a part of it, was going to sit out and be protest guy. And now he's back, and they bring him back to television after sitting out in protest for a year, maybe more at this point.
Not that long. In October.
Yeah.
October, I think.
Okay, so not quite a half a year, but it felt like longer because it was so obnoxious. And he gets in there with Miz and Theory. And no disrespect to Mike Mizanin, or I forgot Theory's real name, doesn't really matter at this point. Why is he not up in the face of the main, why is he not getting up in the Usos' face or something like that? It boggles my mind. We're gonna bring you back, and you're gonna get an Austin Theory's face. Like, who gives a shit?
Theory's real name name really is Austin, isn't it?
It felt very
That's why they dropped it.
hypocritical. From a character standpoint, it was like, okay, so this is why you're back. And then from a person standpoint, it's like, this is why you're back? Got it. And again, Cleaver's got it right on the money. If he's not back in carrying my Money in the Bank, I'll be very surprised.
Shout out to Colin the Cleaver. Obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
He's always here. We got Bailey still. We can wait for her return as well.
Yep.
So
that one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to think of how they would bring her back.
Ooh, you got some connection issues going on there, Walter. You're talking really fast. Are you a robot now?
He is a robot.
Maybe.
Exposed.
Yeah, I think it might have fixed itself. Aaron, you want to talk
Yeah.
about this topic here?
Just I'm happy Asuka's back as far as Mustafa Ali goes. I guess I'm happy he's back. If he's happy, I'm happy. If he's not happy, then I'm like, well, just let the guy go. We'll see what happens. But I think Colin hit the nail right on the head. I think that he'll be pushed for a couple weeks and then it'll be back to how it was before, where he's barely on TV and has no storyline. I feel like they really don't have any plan for Ali. They just brought him back to feud with Ciampa, and I'm sure they're going to have a great match, but are we going to even see it on a pay-per-view, or is it going to just be thrown out on some kickoff show? Like, if it's actually given some time on a pay-per-view with some build, I'll be happy. But I feel like at best they're going to get a Raw match or a kickoff match, and then that'll be it. And then neither guy will be a presence. I'm still not convinced Ciampa's going to have a good run here. I think he should be part of the faction with Edge, but not getting my hopes up on that one. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. He says, why does WWE have a plan for Asuka but not Alexa Bliss?
Thank you.
Well, I think with Alexa Bliss, like, what do you do with her right now? You had her playing that character, and then that kind of fizzled out. Who did we lose? Walter Cruz?
That's Walter. Yep.
Walter Cruz has left the building.
Dun-dun-dun,
He's
dun-dun-dun.
rebooting. It's all right. We can carry the show till he's back.
I suppose we could have Asuka, well, not Asuka, but Alexa Bliss go back to her old character. That's something you could do with her. I mean, what else can you do at this point?
She had the character be destroyed mentally by Charlotte busting up the doll. She went to therapy for it, and then they did nothing. So she figured, all right, I'll just go get married, and if they figure their shit out, cool. It's like she's been hinting so much at becoming the goddess character again, and every time you see her on a WWE appearance situation, she's in full old Alexa Bliss mode. So why can't, and again, this is going to be really inside baseball for you old TV fans, freaking Dallas Dream season never happened, and end of story. That's it. Just pretend it didn't happen and move her forward, because she's too good to not be on TV at this point.
Let's have her come back and let her do her little talk show or something start.
Something.
The problem, Jeff, is that I feel like her character has been so damaged now. It's a similar scenario as to what happened with Bray Wyatt, where they really weren't sure what to do with him, and his character was just all over the place, and then they cut him. With Alexa, I feel like it's going to be the same thing.
Everybody's assuming Rhea might join Judgment Day or whatever they're being called. How about let Alexa Bliss join them? And
we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
They did. So,
and look,
but the question at the end of the day was, why is Alexa not being used? And like you can't sit there and tell me, even as jaded as we feel about WWE's creative team, whoever that may be right now, you can't tell me they're sitting there in those meetings not having a single thought of, how can we bring her back? Because she's too talented. She's got the look that Vince loves. We all know Vince loves the blondes, and so it's just, why is she not being utilized? It's a great question.
But Jeff, she was featured as the champion quite a bit during the rise of the Four Horsewomen.
She was.
How about maybe bring her and Bailey back at the same time? Like, both feel like everybody forgot about them being ignored, and let them whoop ass and be a team or something. I'm just throwing ideas out there, but imagine that. They just dominate the WWE together.
again, it's and again, Brian makes a good point there about losing to Ronda. Ronda coming into WWE really kind of pigeonholed them into, okay, we have to book her strong against everybody and get her to Mania. So Alexa was just a casualty of war there at the end of the day. So, and if you notice, since then is when she really devolved, and her and Nikki were a good little thing, and now they're both. Alexa's not being used at all, and Nikki's not superhero, whatever the hell gimmick is. Just she's part of the 24/7 thing now. It's like the whole 24/7 thing. I know that's Aaron's favorite part of the night on Mondays. Just the whole. I feel so mixed about this because I remember when I was on with you guys on the regular on this show, the women's revolution was cooking, and I was a happy boy, and now I'm just like, okay.
And look, we talked about Rhea Ripley and Alexa Bliss. I do think Judgment Day needs that. Well, they need the third person. Like Edge comes out in that chair. Damian Priest. You need that one other. And it could be a male, whether Ciampa or one of the girls we talked about.
Balor.
Like I think that group will definitely grow. At least
it would be cool to see a female, though. You don't see too many females involved in stables like that.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, Straight Edge Society had Serena Deeb, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Can you imagine if she'd stayed straight and actually kept with the gimmick, man? That could have been so much better than it already was, honestly.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Nonetheless, Aaron, you had a super chat or two came in.
Big one.
And then we'll roll over to another topic. We'll go to AEW.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, this one, I think this one might be a little side topic here. So Superset Dan Dave sent in a very generous $20 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. He says, if wrestling promotions were able to have free agency, which two wrestlers do you think would benefit from being able to switch promotions and why?
That's a really good question.
Really good question here. And there's a lot of possibilities. I guess I'll start and we'll go around. One wrestler. Well, actually, I could see two guys from AEW going over to WWE. MJF and Wardlow.
Yeah,
Wardlow is the guy.
Skip me because I would have said the same thing.
Okay, well, Virtue, you want to explain why?
Because the fact is, Wardlow in WWE has the potential to be a bigger star, right? In AEW, they make it look like they're going to push the bigger dude, and I know he ain't a huge guy, and MJF, he is fit for WWE. Now the question is, would he allowed to be that full gimmick? Granted, he'd have to tone it down to PG. But, I mean, he doesn't do anything too vulgar on AEW. I mean, they still have sponsors to worry about on TBS. But, I mean, let's face it, Cody Rhodes is in WWE, and him and MJF are buddies. Like, that's my reason. Cody is a very good possibility of getting him over, whether even with no free agency, fantasy free agency. I think it's a legit, real shot. MJF could end up in WWE after he's done in AEW. So Tony Khan's got some pressure on him to keep him
I'm just afraid he'll show up, and the first thing they'll do is throw him right with The Miz, just because of the comparisons.
Can't be afraid, man. You got to just sometimes let him do it. I mean, Cody's back there. 6 months ago, would we have all thought this was going to happen? Not really.
Not at all.
To address the comment Aaron just put up, the thing is, MJF, we all know, lives the gimmick on social media and when he's out of appearances. I don't know if even Vince and and WWE and they're wanting to keep kayfabe alive as long as possible. I don't know if they would let Max get away with some of the stuff he gets away with when he's out doing appearances or some of the things he says on social media. Because, no, they're not vulgar, but they are very non-PG and non-fan friendly at all. Even for a heel, they're like, we're so much. So,
he, even with his interviews with, like, the Ariel Helwani thing, he keeps that kayfabe.
Yeah, he is a heat seeker. I don't know if everybody can handle it.
Now, Jeff, here's an interesting look at this. Who from WWE at this point would be a good fit for AEW? Because AEW's roster is so crowded right now. Who is there in WWE who could potentially be better off in AEW getting pushed and whatnot? Somebody who's not really doing well in WWE right now who would do really well in AEW despite the roster being as crowded as it is.
I think the two guys that needed to change scenery, did it. And, you know, we talked about Punk earlier, kind of getting lost in the shuffle now, but he's in the world title match at the end of this next month for the world title. So we'll see against Hangman. So we'll see how that plays out. The other one was Bryan. Bryan needed a fresh start. We all got behind the Daniel Bryan thing. We were all chanting yes, and we were happy for him. That was 8 years ago. He's kind of been coasting along. Yes, he was hurt for a good chunk of it. I'm not even going to ignore that part of his history. But when he came back and did the Planet's Champion thing, once that was over, it was like, what else do you do with Bryan Danielson? You don't. So the two guys that needed to return to the business or make a move definitely did. And Regal being there is such a breath of fresh air. I think Regal, I said this when it happened. I think it was either on a conversation with one of you guys privately or on the air. Regal leaving WWE after all this time and being with AEW is going to be a long-term moment. And I said it and I mean it, because that's going to be something that people are going to remember as, oh shit, when it all plays out. I like JJ's comment on my chat as well. I'll go and throw it up there. Sorry if I'm covering somebody else's on the NoDQ side. Walter going to AEW would be an awesome addition to the Blackpool Combat Club. And I think the Bucks being able to come over and feud with the Usos or RK Bro would be cool. I agree with Walter, Jay. I do. Because, you know, you got a big, strong, you know, bruiser British guy, and Regal just would eat that alive. He'd have a great time with that. I don't think the Bucks would ever go to WWE. I know we've said that a lot over the years. Oh, well, you know, it's all about money. And Cody would never go back either, and then he did. But the difference is the Bucks have so much more invested of themselves in the company than even Cody did. And yes, Cody was an EVP like the Bucks still are, but the Bucks are just so anti the WWE establishment. I don't see them ever leaving. But Aaron's question was, would they benefit? Absolutely.
Yeah,
they would,
Cody had his history with WWE too.
Right, which the Bucks issue of WWE is dressing up as DX and having Edge and Orton kick their ass. Like that's their and I still say them being Generation Me had WWE going, nope, we're good, thanks. So I don't see it happening. Would they benefit with a few of the Usos? Anybody, Aaron and I would benefit with a few of the Usos because the Usos are that freaking good. Okay, they just are. They're the best tag team in WWE. One of the best tag teams in recent memory.
Yeah, so just don't be in the car with them.
Here's one for you, Aaron. Ricochet, because that's right up the AEW fan base's alley.
Well, but again, to quote my money shirts, here's the thing, Virtue. Would Ricochet get lost in that overinflated AEW roster? He absolutely
he'd be right in the TNT title picture with Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky,
or
whoever at the time.
Again, we're gonna talk about that. Are there too many cooks in the TNT kitchen? The world title's just kind of, you know. So
but what flippy floppy guy really doesn't get TV time? They all do. They all do in AEW. It's the other ones that really don't do that come in and go away.
Yeah. One that we're all missing.
Tony Khan loves that stuff.
Yeah. One that we're all missing is Balor. Balor would benefit from leaving.
Yeah, we got quite a few comments in the chat about Balor.
I think he'd go to New Japan.
Balor would be good. Balor would be, like I said, basically the entire 24/7 division. Those are all talented people, and with the exception of like Tamina, who, you know, the family is so entrenched in WWE, you know, makeup and everything. There's so much talent on the AEW side that yes, in the short term they'd benefit because they left, they're here, and then they'd be on Dark Elevation by the next Monday.
You know what? I don't think Tony Khan would pick up any of the 24/7 people.
I don't think so either. You know who would benefit? Who already left? We just don't know what his next step is. It's Cesaro. He left. No one knows what he's doing, and he really needed a fresh start. You were talking about Bryan and Punk needed a
guarantee. He's going to be there. They're going to wait till
Cesaro with Regal and those guys. That'd be dude, you talk about a guy
all out or something. He'll be there.
Yeah, Aaron and I have seen him. You know, he legitimately is the strongest guy pound for pound on whatever the hell roster he's on. He's a perfect fit for that Blackpool group, for sure.
He really would be.
We caught up, Aaron?
But then everybody would start. All the bots would complain that they're just pushing old WWE guys in that group. Everybody's from WWE. Why not put an AEW people? You will never hear the end of it.
Well, okay. So Wheeler Yuta's long WWE career is clearly on their mind there.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of we're going to talk about some AEW here. And I think Adam Page is still their world champion. Now, yeah, he was out, COVID, whatever. That happens. Reigns missed some time. Never hold that against you. And I've said this since he's been champion. He should be on every week. He should be featured in something big or some big promo segment, backstage, whatever. I mean, Tony Khan, that's how you treat your world champion. So you guys can touch on that. And I also want to discuss the hot potato TNT title, which was already happening when Cody was there and Sammy Guevara. It seems like Sammy Guevara is in the middle of this TNT title going back and forth. He dropped it to Scorpio Sky, won it back, and then Scorpio Sky just won it back again. It's like, why didn't Scorpio Sky just keep it? Again, right, they want to have title changes. It's a television title, more or less. It's funny, though, Jeff. It's a TNT title, but yet it's now on TBS. And I know the women's one is the TBS title. So what do you have to say about AEW and their hot potatoing the one title? Love the fact they're letting the other title stay on Adam Page, but it's like he's kind of forgotten. I mean, he had the Adam Cole match recently.
Well, but I first of all, as far as the naming goes, I think they had decided on those names before Turner made the deal with, I think it was NHL to broadcast them on Wednesday nights.
So like, you don't think they could have quickly like, hey, let's make the TBS title the men's and then the women? I don't even know how they would have done it. No, they could have had a TBS men's title and a TBS women's title. They could both of them.
Channels anyway?
They are.
It'll look like the word said hose. This is above their thinking process. I'm just saying.
But anyway, like the more important thing is the back and forth. I mean, do they want this to be the Intercontinental title of the early or late 90s, early 2000s?
Well, it's funny. You know, people are saying that it's their version 24/7 because it keeps hot potatoing. I think they are doing exactly, and again, this is going to, oh, here we go. Jeff's kissing Bischoff's ass again. Eric Bischoff did the same thing on Nitro, and Tony said, oh, I'm not going to do that stuff. I'm not going to, be doing that. And he's doing the exact same friggin' thing. And it's diminishing the value of the championship. I mean, and granted, titles are props in wrestling, and we all know how people feel about that. But if they keep it on Sky right now, I'm personally happy because hopefully they keep the Sky versus Kazarian match until June 1st when both guys are home in SoCal and I get to watch my boys in a championship match. That would be friggin' amazing. Long term, if they keep doing this back and forth, it's going to hurt the championship and it's going to hurt the company. Now, as far as it being the focal point of the shows, yes, it's in the main event right now because the world champion's been sitting out with COVID or sitting out with whatever they've been sitting Adam Page out with. I think once Page is back on TV full time and is recovered, he and Punk are going to have a great little program here this month and until we get to Vegas because Punk and Vegas get along very well. Aaron remembers Punk in Vegas.
Yep, that was the site of the pipe bomb.
Shut down because of CM Punk in Vegas. Okay, just saying. So I look forward to watching it. I was gonna go, but it's just too expensive. And I'll be informed in a few days after anyway. So
media pass, Jeff.
Yeah, okay. I trust me. If
your name's not Virtue, you might have a shot.
No, but I without going too far into the weeds, I might already have something lined up for the forum, so I don't want to be pushy.
All right.
But as far as the championships, again, the championships mean whatever the fans want them to mean. And right now, we're seeing a title be passed around way too often, and a world champion who, granted, is on the sidelines, but he could do what Reigns did pre-tape.
True.
A lot of looking at the world champions on both sides, without a doubt.
Over to you, Walter. Are you back now? Is your connection good?
Yeah. I'm trying to think like a robot. It's a ratings ploy. They can't hit the million, so they're trying to make their Wednesday nights and Friday nights can't miss TV because you never know if there's a title change, and they're gonna think everybody's gonna be like, I have to tune in because someone might win the title. But they're watering down the title and they're messing it up. Maybe Scorpio keeps it for a while now, but I think they're just trying to get more eyes on the product and be like I said, hey, the title might change today, so I'm gonna watch it. That's all it is.
Now, what about any take on the AEW World title? Should it be featured more, or should the champion just have more spotlight?
It should have more spotlight, but I mean, you can't help that he got sick.
But I'm talking before then. Like, just it doesn't seem like we see him that like. And again, I'm blaming WWE for keeping Reigns kind of like they could use Reigns more right now too. I'm kind of calling both companies out.
Yeah, they should have the title featured more. I mean, we've only seen it on TV, on free TV, defended once, which was just a recent match. So I mean, make it more important. Put it on more defenses. I mean, the Punk, that's going to be awesome. So if he wins it, maybe they'll do it with Punk. But again, like, I don't know what you're doing with Punk. He's kind of forgotten about. I mean, you signed, like I always say, you signed too many people. You watered down his return. I mean, at least it is good that they didn't rush him right into the title scene. So I mean, at least they did that part right. So we'll see what happens with him now.
Noted. Aaron, over to you. And I saw some super chats come in, so I did not see what they said. So I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, and as far as Bret Hart goes and re-signing with WWE, I really don't know what the deal with that is, but it's kind of sucks that he will not be there for the end of the Owen Hart tournament, but hey, it is what it is. Now, as far as what happened this week with the CM Punk build-up, that's fine. I'm not sure if CM Punk should be beating Paige for the title. I still think MJF should be the next champion. He should beat Adam Page for the title, and then you can have CM Punk and MJF go one more time for the title. I think that the problem with Adam Page is that while his matches have been great, he just hasn't really had that main event presence on the shows. It feels like when he does show up, he's kind of just there for a few minutes somewhere randomly in the middle of the show. And maybe because AEW, FTR and such, CM Punk, they all like to pay tribute to Bret Hart. What did Bret Hart do when he won that world title? He was defending it all the time. That was his gimmick, that first reign. Bret Hart was defending the title every week. Maybe Adam Page should be defending the title every week. And of course, people will say they're hot-shotting, they're trying to get the ratings up, and sure, why not? Make him a fighting champion, and then you have to tune into Dynamite every week to see that title defended. You never know who might end up beating him for that title.
The thing with Page is that he just seems like a shock value person. Like they just did it to be a shock, like kind of like what WWE does with the Money in the Bank. Like, oh look, he's champ, but then it's like he was champ. You know what I mean? Like when the Miz won the title, and you were like, wow, Miz won the title, but then it just quickly. So like it seemed like Page is one of those. Maybe he was supposed to be a transitional champ and kept it a little longer because of COVID. I'm not sure.
I mean, I think Tony Khan was genuinely trying to get a homegrown champion, right? And he thought it was like Page is the guy, like, but here we are. Just doesn't seem like as important as it should to me.
I'm with Aaron. JF should be the champ, the next one at least.
My thought process all along was that MJF would be the next champion after Adam Page, but if CM Punk wins the title at Double or Nothing, it would not surprise me at this point, just because I feel like they need something to get some buzz, and people will be like, finally, CM Punk is the champion, and maybe it'll get CM Punk talked about and people buzzing about him again, because yeah, he definitely cooled off from that initial return. But this should be a really interesting match to see where they're going with the world title picture. Now, we do have a few super chats here. Michael sent in a $2 super chat. He says, TNT title is worse than the 24/7 title right now.
I wouldn't go that far.
I wouldn't go that far at all. Come on, man.
So much.
That's a little bit much. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, rename the TBS title the Primetime Women's Championship and the TNT title the Dynamite Global Championship in case they have channels.
That's just too long of a name to say for the announcer all the damn time.
And also, why does that sound like the Primetime Women's Championship sounds like something the NWA would use?
Yeah.
And then the Dynamite Global Championship just reminds me of Global Force Wrestling. I'm not a fan of those names.
Yeah. I just think they're way too long. You'll get tired of saying it all the time. You definitely would shorten it to PCW and whatever the other one was.
Yeah. Dwayne Atkinson sent in a $2 super chat. Says, now that Cody is back, who's next from AEW to jump? Well, I do not know the contract statuses of everybody in AEW. It might be a year or two, but definitely MJF is somebody to look out for. I believe that's
2023, right? And
end of 2023.
Yeah.
So still a ways to go. FTR, they reportedly had their contracts coming up later this year, but there's an option to extend it for another year. So it might not be until late 2023 when we see some of the big players in AEW become free agents.
It's hard to tell right now at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Joey Janela's. WWE ain't touching Joey Janela. That ain't gonna happen. So it might be a while before we see like another big name jump to WWE. But I feel like it will happen. It's just a matter of who, whether it's MJF or Wardlow or somebody else who rises up over the next several months. Maybe Brian Cage, but he's apparently going to be sticking around for a while. I'm a little surprised about that one. They haven't done anything with him. So,
Brian was in development at the same time Sean Ricker, LA Knight was, and he just couldn't stay off the gas. So maybe if he's got himself cleaned up for sure, maybe we'll give him another look.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says DJ Meacham for the next 24/7 champion.
I don't want to wrestle or be in no mo.
I'm have a little rap for us, Jeff.
That ass in my comfy chair in front of my screen. I'm good. Thank you.
At this point, with the way they do that, I see all four of us winning that damn title.
Why y'all booking me and shit I don't want to be a part of? Stop it. No.
You're making him a DJ. You're putting him in the 24/7 title division.
I think it's safe to say I am the least musically inclined and least athletic group of the four of us in this group. So that's a double no. Thank you, though.
All right, we're caught up.
All caught up. So we're going to move on to the main event. But before that, I just want to share with the NoDQ Galaxy, when we get to episode 200, and I think that's going to be like late August. We got like 15 weeks. But when we get to episode 200, you're going to want to make sure you're in the chat that night, because you guys, the NoDQ Galaxy, will be supplying the topics for us. I am going to come in with no topics, with no format, and we are going to take super chats. And if you want to be part of the show, you super chat and you bring up a topic and we talk about it, and that could go on. We could break our 2-hour record, but that's what we're going to do for episode 200 of the NoDQ review, where the NoDQ Galaxy basically becomes the moderator. Jeff.
For the record, that's August 11th, 2022.
Okay, there you go. So
if we do it every single week.
Yeah, like if I, we've been kind of low on our live viewers tonight because, wrestling's stagnant. We didn't really have any big topics, but, if you guys keep showing up, the dedicated ones, and you ask us questions, we'll keep doing this every week.
Now,
and
wait.
we'll get to August 11th without any
Is that Hogan's birthday or close to Hogan's?
Yes, it's Hogan's. I didn't want to say it out loud and get myself in trouble, but yeah, that's Hulk's birthday.
Hulk Hogan's birthday. Oh, all right. Okay.
1 year shy of turning.
Well, and again, that could be a test too. If people want to make the review, like Walter Cruz ended up doing, if you show up for that and you you're one of those, and not you could donate the minimum. I think it gives you so many characters to ask questions. But if you come with some powerful topics and you're memorable for that evening, I could say, hey, Aaron, we got to get this person on the video. They impressed me.
What person could theoretically just send $2 after $2 after $2 and keep us on for like 6 hours?
So, But anyway, I just wanted to get the seeds.
If they wanted to torture us.
We have a while, but I want to make sure people are ready for that. So I'll remind you every week for the next 4 months. Now, main event. Jeff Meacham. Everybody kind of calls him one of the boring main eventers of the last 20 years. The style of match, he's old school. Randy Orton has been doing this for 20 years. And he kind of hit a nice little reprieve thing here with RK Bro, which was rumored to only last a few weeks. And they're the tag champs now. They're going to have this feud with the Usos for the Undisputed. tag titles. And again, at least it's something cool. The partnership is, the RKOs are phenomenal. We talked about, is Riddle going to turn on Orton? Is Orton going to turn on Riddle? I think I'm kind of past that and over that now. Let's just see these two guys having fun, and they get the crowd to pop when they are out there. And that's what wrestling is all about. So 20 years of Randy Orton. He's where he's at right now, but, he's done a lot. How many time champion, Jeff?
14.
14. So, we're going to talk about Randy. I mean, we don't talk about him that much, really. So go ahead. What do you have to say about 20 years of Randy Orton?
Well, it's funny you say that now, because Aaron, every Tuesday, unless you have predictions, graciously offers me a time slot here on NoDQ, and I used Tuesday's slot to do a special open mic night about Randy's career. So we went kind of knee deep on Randy, but I'm always glad to talk about Randy Orton. He has become one of my favorites of all time, and I agree with Brian here that there will be a turn at some point, and it has to be, but I'll get to there momentarily. Again, this is the guy who, when Aaron and I first started the NoDQ media streams in 2002 and 2003, he was the quintessential baby face coming in, being the hometown kid and beating the Bob Holly in an upset. Then he goes down with a shoulder injury, and he comes back with that redonkulous RNN stuff, and I got over like Rover. But Aaron and I spent a good amount of our time in the early days talking about Randy's backstage shenanigans and getting himself a slap on the wrist and sitting on timeout for a while. So it's wonderful to see him have matured and become a father and a locker room leader and a guy that the fans can look to and the locker room can look to, and that everybody can look to. As the word pillar is often used way too often in the other company, but he's very much a pillar of the WWE and has been since I would say in the latter 10 years, he's really come into his own. You figure at that point, I mean, God, look what he did for this guy just by himself. Cody and DiBiase, and had DiBiase stuck around and actually stayed with wrestling, he could have been, even bigger than he got. But, Cody really got to the point he is now because of the rub from Randy Orton. And that hug in the ring Monday was 100% genuine. So cool to see them back together, even for a night. But it has to be a turn from Riddle. And I'll tell you why. Randy used the two words he's never used with a partner, with anything. He used the F word and he used the L word about Riddle. Riddle, they have to lose at Backlash, and then Riddle's going to drop him on his head, MMA style, and boom, off we go. And we talked about this on Tuesday night. This is the type of program that, even though they're so hotshot for the booking nowadays, this feud with all the evolution behind it, all the story behind it, could carry to WrestleMania here in Hollywood. It really could.
I see what you did there with saying evolution too.
Didn't mean to, but
Jeff, what's your most memorable Orton moment of the last 20 years? If you had to pick one off the top of your head,
it
could be anything.
It's a tie for me. It's we joke on our shows that he walked into Toronto in 2004 and found the belt in the middle of the ring with those awful ass peach tights on. But the match with Benoit that night was so good. But also becoming the undisputed WWE champion in 2013. That was such a big moment for Randy Orton, who had been the backstage pariah and just had been this this corporate nightmare for Vince and everybody behind the scenes. And you had the McMahon family on stage with him going, this is our guy. This is who we're going with. And he carried that all the way through the WrestleMania in New Orleans. And he was a solid face of the company, obnoxious. There it is. I mean, it's such a great, great moment. But man, those tights are bad. Golly. But such a great representative of the company as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I think him not losing the fall that night really only solidified him as he's still going to be our guy. It was such a great run for him. So winning the WWE Championship, becoming the Undisputed Champion in 2013, but that moment right there with Benoit, as overlooked as it is now because of what happened, it was still a very cool moment as a Randy Orton fan.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Matt Phillips Reviews sent in a $2 super chat, says, what are your guys' favorite Randy Orton matches? So Jeff,
okay. Jeff, you want to go first?
Yeah, it's if it's not that one with Benoit, which was so good, I will honestly say, I just had, you know what, go come back around to me because I had it and I lost it. Come back around.
For me, it's I'll go next. It's the Mick Foley Randy Orton. I think that put him on the map. The fact that he took that RKO on those thumbtacks, we saw all those thumbtacks because everybody thought he wasn't hardcore. He's not gonna do, and then he went and did that, and it's like that's what put him on the map. Orton is who he is, and he even said it on Raw because of Foley.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 31, Seth Rollins in the opener with the way that finished with the RKO because he made what's that?
Second match.
Second match, yeah. What was the first match? The ladder match? Yeah, and who won that?
Brian.
Brian. And the fact is, he beat Rollins, which made you kind of forget about Rollins. So the cash in at the end, you're like, and so Orton did his job. So that's my favorite Orton match. And maybe it was more of the spot with the RKO, the curb stomp reversed into the RKO.
Yeah, that ending was great. I was there for that one. Really cool moment. Man, he's had so many good ones. That Backlash with Mick Foley, the Undertaker match at 21. I was there for that one also. That was a very underrated Undertaker match, in my opinion. The matches he had with Triple H, the No Mercy match, I think it was October 2007.
I was going to say with the Undertaker, even the build was awesome. With the casket catching on fire, him coming back, his father getting involved.
That Hell in a Cell match was good too. The Triple H matches, the John Cena matches, that Breaking Point match they had, the Bragging Rights match they had, Iron Man match.
Yeah. Is anyone going to pick the match with Edge, the greatest wrestler? I'm just kidding.
No. Sorry, but that's not
a few duds he had, and the fact that they try to end WrestleMania with Triple H and Orton, that should have been reversed. They should have went on before they shouldn't have been the main event.
Right. Yeah. So he's had a lot of high profile matches and that longevity, which we've talked about. Very few guys have been able to be on top for that long at a consistent level like Randy Orton. Carlos Gomez sent in a generous $10 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, Roman Reigns is not on TV much because he should not be overexposed, and with this gimmick should be a special attraction. When he appears, he has an aura, hence the standing ovations and pops that he gets.
Let me ask you one thing. How often was Steve Austin during his run not on TV?
He was on TV every week, man.
Every week.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like like the Brock Lesnar treatment. I get that. Like I won't, slap you for that. But I don't know. I think opposite, man. I don't want to go overexposing, but you just want to give it a little bit, even if it's just the backstage in his mafia room, like just something. I don't know.
I agree with you, Virtue. It's like I get it, but even with The Rock, they always did something, whether he was via satellite. But I mean, it came to the point where they made fun of that. They were like, The Rock is back. Yeah, via satellite, John Cena would say, or so just do something. Like you already overexposed him when everybody was booing the hell out of him when he was a baby face. So what the hell is the difference now?
Yep.
Aaron, you want to continue with the super chats if there's some?
Sure. We do have a few more. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says Randy Orton deserves praise for getting Daniel Bryan over.
Agreed
too.
I think Orton being the authorities heavy as champion was key to that whole thing.
Yeah, he did a great job with that. I would agree with that. I mean, Bryan was just naturally building that momentum, but Orton was a great adversary for Bryan.
We all got pissed off when he cashed in his Money in Bank.
I was there for that, too.
Aaron, you were there
on big moments.
The after party, and both of us were just like, what? It was so shocking. It was heartbreaking is what it was.
Yeah.
So,
here's my thing that's shocking about Orton, just to get my piece, is that his longevity is shocking because when he first came in, that man was considered injury prone. Yep. I thought he would get released at one point.
Remember the Orton updates?
He had his shoulder, then he had his clavicle, then I think he had a knee. Then it was like just every time he came back, something happened to him. And it's almost like, oh God, this guy's injury prone. And the fact that he's been there 20 years is shocking. He went from ultra babyface to an a-hole heel. The news thing was awesome. Then he made you not forget of you. He had that horrible overdrive move that like everybody used when they first debuted. He went from that to the punk kick. The punk kick was awesome. And then RKO is like, I think there's so many RKO moments that is like one of the best, even though people say it's a modified diamond cutter or, the stunner. I mean, he made it infamous for him, or famous, I should say, for him. And it's like, how many moments or highlights are for him from Evan Bourne doing the 450 or the reverse and getting RKO, the Seth Rollins RKO, and the fact that he hits that move literally out of nowhere. He got that move over. So, but the most shocking thing is his longevity, because he really was injury prone when he first came out.
Walter, the class of 2002 OVW, Brock came and went, came back part-time. Cena had his run, company man.
Yeah.
Hollywood, been gone. Batista, not really that long of a run, went to Hollywood. Orton, blood in the business, is still doing it.
I wouldn't have picked.
And he's the workhorse from the class of 2000.
And no one would have picked it. No one would have saw that coming.
Not saying he was the biggest draw, right? He's Randy Orton.
No,
but
definitely.
Just that workhorse guy that's there, and even after all those early injuries, still doing it.
The only thing that was kind of bad on him was the forced face turn after Benoit getting beat. That's the only thing that really didn't work for him. He's better as a heel. Everybody hates him. And that's why I think, like Jeff said, he's used love and friendship for Riddle. You got to make Riddle turn on him. And then you sympathize. Well, Orton's got to be like the one time I actually trusted somebody and this shit happens. And it's like you automatically feel for him.
Money. Okay, Aaron, so good that you got that in there, Walter, because Aaron has more super chats that came in, and he can speak on Orton as well. I mean, we've all kind of talked about him a lot already.
Jeff, I know you would agree with this. Another underrated Orton feud, in my opinion, is Rob Van Dam, and I think RVD really did a lot to get Orton over. Like the way he sold the RKO, that was insane.
Yeah, he took those RKOs well.
Even Robin Beer with us, he talked about that. Yeah, the ending and the whole concussion write-off was freaking idiotic and bogus. But he always enjoyed working with Randy. Rob's feud with Randy in 2007 really solidified. Like you said, Rob sold that RKO with the freaking head, first sell. It came off really well. So yeah.
That's kind of when Orton became the Viper. Like that was the transition from the legend killer, that first phase of his career, into the Viper, the second phase.
Well, because remember, he was so vicious, he literally cussed Van Dam out of the WWE.
Yeah. But there's so many great spots. It's like it's Randy Orton's RKO and Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music with all the spots that they can hit it from. It's those two right up there with the Shelton Benjamin super kick and the Evan Bourne RKO. And the stupid with Kofi. There's too many moments.
What was a lost opportunity when Page got himself healthy was Diamond Cutter versus RKO, even for a brief little run there.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
That would have been nice, Jeff. Just well.
Just for a one-off, just because they're the same move, it would have been great because they both hit him out of nowhere all the time. So.
Carlos Gomez sent in $2. Thank you, Carlos. Says 2009 Orton was on another level.
And the thing is, Aaron, people remember 2009 because of that god-awful WrestleMania booking. Because that match should have been no holds barred. That match, they literally broke into each other's homes. Orton punted the entire family, RKO'd Stephanie, and made out with her in front of Hunter while he was handcuffed. How is that not no holds barred? And it's the last match of the night. It's just like the whole booking was just mind-boggling. Yes, they went on to Backlash, did the 6-man, and again, you mentioned injury stuff with Walter. It's Batista got hurt, so they had to put it back with Randy. So yeah. He's on their level because he had to be, because he was having to overcome some bullshit situations.
That was just 2009 was just the one thing is I don't think Orton should have. I mean, we can't change the past. It happened, but that's just I wouldn't have made him booked him to win that Royal Rumble. Should have been.
Do you have a count, Jeff, on how many Manias did Orton close? You can come back on that. I'm just curious.
I will check it out.
Okay.
You better go text Greg and find out.
Got to be at least 5.
Anyway. Yeah.
All right. The Game is on 100 sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. It says 20 years of John Cena on June 27th. Raw more than likely? I think so.
I know for a fact that the dads, not always on wrestling, on my channel, are going to do a top 10 John Cena matches that day.
All right. Yeah, I think we'll see John Cena again this summer, and would not shock me if he's there for his 20-year anniversary.
Yeah,
I might have to
there's no
join you
doubt.
on that one, Jeff. That's the day before my birthday. My birthday's the 28th, so
That's awesome.
And Jeff has mentioned it many times. I've mentioned it too. This year is also the 20-year anniversary of when Jeff started on NoDQ/themayhem.com/WWFWCW.com. By the way, has anybody been to WWFWCW.com lately?
It goes to NoDQ.com.
I did. But
Yeah.
and Aaron, in a couple of months, 15 years of Talk Wrestling this year too.
Yeah, so 20 years. And I still remember that first show you did was right after the Katie Vick angle. Like that's how it got started.
We have had such ridiculous starts. We had the Katie Vick thing for the original show, and then the Benoit thing for Talk Wrestling.
I remember you guys with the Creator Wrestler. That's how long I've been following you guys.
And I was the greatest CW champion this company ever had. Damn it.
All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, Carlos Gomez sent in another $2 super chat. Thank you, Carlos. Says, I'd have Randy Orton break Ric Flair's record, to be honest.
If anybody that's close deserves it, it's Randy at this point. It really is.
It is. It really is.
You said he was 14-time?
Yeah,
So
14. He
he's
could get
great.
there if he wrestles another 10 years.
So, yeah.
And at this point, I think that he might have a better shot than Cena, with Cena going off doing
John's
movies
good.
and whatnot.
Yeah, and if John's transitioning and Hunter's, having to hang it up, Orton's the guy.
If Orton's going to be around for another 10 years, I could definitely see him being the guy that breaks it.
And records are meant to be broken. And the fact that Rick has had all these controversies lately, they might just break it so he can't say I'm the, that I hold that record anymore.
So, Virtue, believe it or not, it's only twice that he's closed WrestleMania.
Okay, well, at least it's twice, though. I mean, he was never considered that draw guy, right?
No.
During the era of Cena, then Lesnar came back, and then Reigns popped in, but that's fine. He was the workhorse.
Right. I would argue if there should have been a third, it would have been WrestleMania 24, when we were back in Orlando when I was there with my dad watching that, because as dramatic as Edge Undertaker was, you had the three top WWE champions in that match: Triple H, John Cena, and Randy Orton.
All right, let's see here. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, DJ Meacham is real Mr. Mayhem. Watch out, Wardlow.
It's funny he says that, and it's only funny because Aaron, you were talking about getting the subscriber count up. It's like, I remember, 15 years ago, hitting that subscribe everybody, like and subscribe for all those Talk Wrestling we did. So yeah, I definitely was pushing the NoDQ brand before anybody was, and I'm so happy to be part of it all these years later. It's so cool.
Well, heck, Aaron, I think some people are starting early, like doing this for the episode 200, man. We're getting a lot of engagements here.
It is funny because I used to push the hell out of him. Aaron's a friend of mine on social media. He sees how much I share his video. It's like I always do it. And I was like, I might as well try to be part of the family now.
It's always appreciated, because if you can get just one person to watch and then they get one person to watch, you see how that adds the viewer count. So word of mouth, it really does help a lot. Even if it's just one person, that can make a difference.
It's one of those. Aaron was always flabbergasted when I would tell him I would, be traveling down to Long Beach to go see friends, and I would get stopped at Union Station to be recognized. It was just like, it's a major hub of one of the largest cities in the world, and I'm getting, hey, you're the. It happens to this day. So it's crazy how long we've been around, how long we sustained, and people were, calling our death knell right from the start. So
they still are.
Oh, they still are. And you know what? Bring them on, bitches. Bring them on.
Well, going back to Orton, I'm trying to think that the only recent thing that really didn't get over is the way they booked him and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, that was kind of a dud.
Yeah, that was
and twice.
But it led to Arcade Bro.
Twice he did that.
Yeah, it was cool the way he lit on fire the house, or Annie's sister Abigail's house, whatever it was.
The compound,
but that shows you the kind of professional.
That stupid ass WrestleMania
Orton
match.
did all of that. He did the stuff with Bliss. He did it. He's working with Riddle.
Yeah, I didn't mind the builds to the WrestleMania match.
Me neither.
All right, it's like, oh.
But the House of Horror match was horrible.
You know what?
Better than WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Was that the one break actually got set on fire?
No. House of Horror was when the bugs came on the ring.
No, that was WrestleMania. The House of Horror was after that.
Oh.
The House of Horror was actually okay. The WrestleMania match with the bugs was terrible.
Yeah,
the WrestleMania match with Alexa Bliss several years later was terrible.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a match. It's so dumb.
All right. We got one more super chat here from Dwayne Atkinson. He said, if we get Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania, should it be for the title? And if so, should Rock beat him or lose and acknowledge him? So I'll go first. I don't think it needs the title. And if they go with the title match, I think Roman Reigns should beat him. But I actually think it would be harder to predict if the title was not on the line. I just don't see The Rock winning the title if he's doing a one-off, and I really don't think he's going to be doing more than that one match. And I think the only proper finish would be for Rock to put him over regardless, but I think it would be a little bit more unpredictable if it was not for the title, and it really doesn't need it. Jeff?
There's a chat over on my side from SCW.
That's where everybody's at.
As Eric Bischoff once said, controversy creates cash. Big talking points are always key to get started. You guys have done tremendous work for a long time.
So, thank you for that.
We appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much.
Well, you might as well go ahead with the Roman question, Jeff. You might as well answer that one.
It doesn't need a title, but Rock needs to lose. That's just long and short of it. Rock has to be the final leg of the table to fall and bend the knee at Roman, because there's nobody left. Yoko's gone. The Usos have fallen in line. His own father and uncle fell in line. Rikishi, I'm sure, is going to do something at some point, because Rikishi ends up doing something anyway. But there's nobody left on the active or, in the current public eye. So Rock has to be the one to be the final thing. NFL, you know what? We're not competing with the NFL draft. We're just here. So thank you, Ham.
Yeah, that's right. The NFL draft was tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn, Aaron, that killed us. There goes our numbers.
That's why.
That's okay. We got all right.
For me, you're going to go
Walter.
first?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you.
Go ahead, Richard.
All right. WWE title can get separated from him, like we've talked about. I think he's going to have the Universal title. I'm going all in. He's going to have it for 1,000 days. He's going to hit that 1,000-day mark, and he will have to beat The Rock at WrestleMania, assuming that happens, to get there. Right. And this is all biding WWE time to find the guy that Roman can put over to at least make us think, hey, the next star, the next main eventer is born. And Roman's entire bloodline run was to set their next star beyond Roman Reigns up. I believe that's what's going to happen. I'm going to stick with that the whole way.
Yeah,
but if the title doesn't need to be there, but I think it will. I think the Universal title will.
I agree. It doesn't need the title, and I agree with Aaron. If you put the title, it becomes too predictable. It's obvious who's going to win. Right. Roman's going to win. Like, what I would do is, Rock is the final piece of the puzzle. Could you imagine he beats Rock? Rock goes and grabs a microphone. Doesn't even call him Roman. Just say, Joe, I acknowledge you. The pop that would happen after The Rock says that, it will solidify that WWE is Roman Reigns' territory.
Yep.
Well said. We have a $2 super chat here from Carlos. Thank you, Carlos. And I think we all would agree with this. This is something that we've all talked about many times over the years. Harper should have been added to that Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt match. 100% agree with you. Anybody else want to argue that?
No,
I agree with it.
They should have had a triple threat match and no bugs, and it would have been 100 times better.
They should have had once the Wyatts broke up, they should have all fought each other too.
Like a four-way match?
Yeah. Four-way match. Why not? And it should have been an elimination match, and Wyatt should have just won.
Well, that's a great idea, and I have no idea why they never went with it. Legitimately would have been fun to watch, like an elimination match at WrestleMania.
They never really got behind Wyatt. Like that first WWE title run, the way he lost the title and with the bugs, it was just stupid. Like I legit was shocked and happy at the same time. When he won Elimination Chamber, I was like, holy shit, Bray Wyatt just won the title and he won the Chamber. And he beat AJ Styles. Like he legit pinned the champ in it.
Oh no. He beat John Cena, was champion by then.
Oh yeah. And it was just, I was shocked, and it was just like, then they went nowhere with it.
Well, that was the thing. Cena had finally tied the record. He's 16-time champion, and he loses a month later. Huh?
Yeah.
And then he lost to Randy, and the bug. It was like,
Yeah.
as great as it was, and it's like, then we got here. Okay.
Yeah, they had something. When Bray Wyatt won that chamber, I was like, like my jaw dropped. Like I really didn't think that he would. I thought AJ Styles was winning that chamber match.
Yeah. Now, guys, this is something on a similar topic here. You mentioned Bray Wyatt's feuds with people like John Cena. Did anybody ever get over feuding with Bray Wyatt? This comes from Psycho Jet Black. Well, I would say anybody that beat Bray Wyatt got over him, technically.
Okay. So I understand what he's trying to say. People that weren't already over, no. But like Goldberg was already over for some inexplicable friggin' reason. Same with John Cena. He was already over, and the first feud with Bray fell flat at the end of the day. But the stuff at Mania and the Five, that was just funny, and I enjoyed that thoroughly. I still do to this day. But the people that weren't already over, I don't think really progressed at all.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, Bliss got a little more TV time out of it, but other than that,
maybe her.
She completely hit a friggin' wall once they released him. So
yeah.
All right, let's see here. Dwayne Atkinson sent in $2. Thank you, Dwayne. Says, will Roman Reigns beat Greg Cherry's record? Ooh.
He's at 1,500 days. I don't think so.
Completely. Well,
Yeah, I don't think so.
it's different. I know what he's talking about, but
Greg Cherry, the wrestling trivia champion. Well, if somebody would beat him already, maybe Roman would have
You
a
know what? I tried my damnedest. Okay.
I keep telling one of my closest friends to challenge him. I don't know. He is an encyclopedia of wrestling, and I just don't know why he doesn't do it.
When you Greg Cherry show on Wednesdays, he's got a spot in the wheel. If you donate the super chat money and you land on that spot, you get a chance to challenge for the championship. Not at the same time, because I ain't doing 20 questions on the spot. I ain't got that much freaking time on my. I believe the contrary, but yeah, there's opportunities. You just got to get there, and then you got to beat him. That's the key. The hot seat, Aaron knows, Virtue knows. He's had the hot seat against me. The hot seat is a mucker fudder, man. So
I miss seeing you and him go back and forth, man.
No, I don't want to do it anymore. No,
that was the greatest trivia match of all time.
If you knew the amount of sweat that was coming off your head when you would get it, you were like, damn it. And then Craig was always the Royal Rumble questions. God damn it.
It was an hour out of my life that I'll never get back again. And Aaron and Greg and I had a great time recording it. So
yeah, I just remember I was feeling nervous that whole time going back and forth. But we got to give credit to Virtue. He was the first one to take the fall.
He was.
Trivia challenge.
Yes, very much so.
I'm the debate guy. I need ways out. Like if I have to give a concrete answer, if I can talk my way into making you think one way or the other, that's where I excel.
Especially that second window. That's the worst part because you are in the same if we have a time to talk things out, I can figure it out. But if I have
against the clock, my mind goes blank.
I can't do it
for that type of thing. Like I don't know. I used to be good at Trivial Pursuit.
I smoked too much. I was a weak guy. I can't remember yesterday. So
you and RVD would get along, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
All right.
What else we got, Aaron?
We got a couple more here.
Coming in, brother.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. He says, is WWE done with the supernatural gimmicks? Since look what they did with the Demon, Finn Balor, and Fiend. I feel that Undertaker's the last successful gimmick.
They're done with it, though.
Well, look what they're doing with Edge. They're kind of doing that,
yeah,
but
they are.
Still have lightning coming out of his hands. Yeah.
And supernatural / dark gimmicks, right?
Yeah.
They're not done.
Yeah, the Fiend was successful until they completely dropped the ball with it. I mean, they were selling a ton of those masks.
Remember SummerSlam in Toronto, Aaron? That place had the vibe, and like, oh my God, Bray Wyatt's refreshed, and they killed it.
I have to admit, I don't own any title, and I really was about to buy that Bray Wyatt title. I really was.
It goes back, Aaron, to what TJS said. They just started this thing with Edge and Priest. Let it play out.
Yes.
You gotta remember, Edge was in the Brood, so he has a history of being in a dark gimmick.
In the promo, Virtue.
Yeah.
So it's just let it breathe, kids. Let it breathe first for a few minutes.
Let's see. Carlos Gomez sent in a $5 super chat. Says, with other reign can Roman surpass before he drops the Universal title? Or which other reign can Roman surpass? Jeff, I guess you're the one that would answer this one. Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, and Pedro Morales.
The next closest for him is, I think Pedro's shorter than Hogan, but I'll have to look at the exact numbers. But because Pedro was champion I'm sorry. It is Pedro because Pedro's only champion for 2 years. So the next tier is Pedro Morales.
Right. And I know Hogan's was just over 4 years.
Just over 4, like within a month.
Or 100 days or something.
It doesn't have the same effect because they only defended the title at Madison Square Garden back then. That's why they had 5-year title reigns. And
Bruno and Pedro and even Backlund are on a different. But Hogan and Hogan only defended it on major cards and the Garden. So again, comparing the modern championship reigns to those golden era and the previous era guys, it's just not a fair comparison. It really isn't.
It's not just because of how often they have to defend it. If you put one of their reigns and they defended it the way the old school did, then they would have all had that record. Cena would have definitely, if it was like only do it at Madison Square Garden, big events once a year, Cena would have been like a 5-year champ. They definitely would have did that with him.
Well, but it's funny you mentioned that, Walter, because Paul Heyman talked about that on an ECW special, that he would have drafted John Cena right away if he had the opportunity. And Joey Styles looked at him like he had 3 heads. He's like, think about it. John Cena was the guy for 10 years straight. And not only was he the champion for the time, he was also doing Make-A-Wishes. He was also doing all the media. He was also doing all the little things that a sports entertainer has to do while also being the top wrestler in the company. And John did it, according to Paul Heyman, better than anybody ever did. Longer than Hogan, longer than Austin, longer than even Bruno. So
it was legit.
Bruno, so
Cena was legit. It was to the point you couldn't bet against him. It got to the point I was like, damn it, why does he keep winning? But if the quintessential WWE man was, it was him.
Yeah, and to comment on Brian's message there, they had to get the belt off of Hogan and try something. Vince thought he did. But and Randy ran for a year with it. Good on Randy for being champion for a year. But it was an experiment, and they tried it and they went with it, and then they went back to in case of emergency break glass again. Same with Warrior. So
yeah. Well, Hogan was also doing no holds barred.
I went almost that movie.
But
Thanks.
Hogan had the I don't want to lay down for everybody too. He just would not. Look how quick the Undertaker won on a Tuesday and lost it on a month. Like Jesus Christ!
But there was a reason for that. He was making the money from the houses, and that's why they don't want to give that spot up.
Yeah.
The house show money, especially at the Garden in the big cities, was so big back then. You don't want to give up that spot at the end of the night. You just don't.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple more here. Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. This is, like Virtue said, this is already starting to look like episode 200.
Like, I think they're getting ready for
this is total practice. Right
and again, we might have lost some viewers tonight to the NFL draft, but I like the people that are here. They have been really engaged.
Yes, and we very much appreciate that. Hamp Connell says, after his feud with The Rock, the obvious thing to do is move Roman to Raw and give him fresh matches and stories. Why not? Because Fox would get mad? Or you just bring more people to SmackDown. I think it just depends on where things stand between WWE and Fox. Those TV rights deals will be up when? End of 2023? 2024? Somewhere around there. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of maneuvering WWE does as far as where Roman Reigns is at, where they want to have their top stars. But it's just so far out, it's hard to predict right now as to what's going to happen with The Rock. Is that even going to happen?
At this point, what the hell is a brand split? Because they really don't care. But
right.
The season premiere, the 2024-2025 TV season will be the point where the Fox deal is back up for negotiation again. So,
all right, here's an interesting question for everybody. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, better wrestler, Randy Savage or Randy Orton?
This and again, this is not a fair comparison as far as the people, but I always remember a quote from Hogan: the best wrestler is the guy that makes the most money.
Randy
So it's
made a
Orton.
lot of money.
So it's Orton.
Both Randys made a ton of money, for real.
I think Savage is a little more diversified in what he could do than Orton. Savage.
I was going to say Savage had to work with a lot of different styles. But I mean, you remember he was wrestling Steamboat for 30 to 45 every night. Then he would go in there with Hogan. Then you go in there with Andre. Then you go in there with DBI. He was so all over the place and did it very well. Randy Orton, 20 years, but it's been how many match graphics are there with John Cena? Just it's disgusting at this point how many times they fought each other. So I think if you're going to answer that, it's Randy Savage for me.
Me too. And Savage was a better storyteller, like an in-ring, like his promos, everything. I mean, his iconic voice. It's like
definitely a thing for Randy, no doubt about it. But
yeah,
storyteller though, Walter, I'm not even going to front. So.
I would say as a character, Randy Savage, but Randy Orton, he's really strong in every category, and longevity is something that even Randy Savage didn't have the kind of longevity that Randy Orton has had. Now, unfortunately for Savage, his body started to give out on him towards the later part of his career, and it was tough for him to live up to what people saw from him in the 1980s. Like by the time he was in WCW, he was kind of a shell of his former self, but still very entertaining.
I'll tell you what, Savage had more iconic promos. I mean, this man had coffee creamer got over because of him.
Right.
But I mean, think about it. Just the fact that you can put Randy Orton in a conversation with Randy Savage, that's all that really matters for Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Aaron, they always joke that Randy's body ended up being in about as good condition as Randy's title belts toward the end because he would just, throw the belts over the place, and his body just. You gotta remember, he's selling for Hogan and Andre and DiBiase, all those guys every single night of the year, sometimes twice a day. He was very much wrestling NWA champion schedule back then. So it's definitely, yes, he was WWE champion. Caleb, oh my God in heaven,
no, he was the tag team champion.
Joke. I'm sorry. I missed it. I'm exhausted. Don't mind me.
Andre was the WWE champion.
No, leave it to Meacham being back on the show, and we're at an hour and 48. On the night of the NFL draft.
He stole the title.
Anyways, for those of you that don't get the joke, watch the Saturday night's main event and Andre's post-match promo. He called himself the new tag team champion.
I told you I made that tag team champion.
That was great.
I surrendered the tag team. Like, Andre, stop talking.
Dude, the Andre stories that you hear is just ridiculous.
The scary part is they're all true.
Yeah, but I heard Jake the Snake the other day talking about him, and I was just like, wow. Like how he farted on him and just stood there. It was hysterical.
I had the chance to see Jake's one-man show after he got himself cleaned up and everything, and oh my God, between the Andre stories and the Fuji stories, I'm still laughing now. I've really haven't peed my pants on the regular.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
This just reminded me that Andre storyline with Jake the Snake when Andre was terrified of the snake. I loved that as a kid. That was great.
Me too.
Oh, Aaron, Jake actually posted a tweet about this. Can you believe it's been 31 years since the thing with Damien in the bag and squashing in the bag?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
That's the first major angle I remember with the WWF as a kid is the fact that Earthquake killed that snake. I remember that vividly.
Speaking of the snake, I remember the Macho Man getting bit in the arm when he was tangled in the rope. Man,
that was crazy.
Yeah.
I find a picture of that to my dad at the one-man show because they had a great picture. Randy's all tied up and the snake's just
awesome.
Good stuff. Anyway, we are going way off into the weeds as we do.
1991 WWF was just gold, man. Ric Flair, you had Jake the Snake turning heel.
I have a signed Tommy Dreamer picture from remember when he fought Raven and Tommy Dreamer's face was just like red, all blood. I have that picture signed by Tommy Dreamer.
Then you have like Hennig and Bret Hart 91, 92 also.
SummerSlam, my God. Yeah, the thing is, there were only 4 pay-per-views that year, and all of them hit on point. So,
all right, let's get to these last super chats, and then we'll wrap this up. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. I gave him an idea. I shouldn't have done it. I said $2. He says, Roman Reigns holds on to the title and drops it to Wardlow. You know what?
That one's okay.
Sure.
It could happen.
Sure.
Like,
you never know.
Title long enough, it just might happen one day. You never know.
You never know. I can't even legit see who They're not building anybody. Like, who the hell can beat Roman?
Cody.
You think they hold off Cody that long and let Cody finally get to the top of WWE by being the one that dethrones Roman?
I think if Cody beats Roman at WrestleMania, it'll be one of those like, okay, this is why he came back moments, and it'll be cool. So we'll see.
Yeah, but will Cody beat him for both belts or just one?
Well, we don't know what they're going to do with that yet. That's the thing.
That's it.
Yep.
All right, Psycho Jet Black with one more here. He says Roman Reigns is more over than the Dallas Cowboys,
but neither of them are more over than the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders at WrestleMania. So there you go.
Exactly.
All right, and on that note, we are caught up, Virtue.
Everybody get their thoughts in on Randy Orton, and we'll go around and do our plugs. Any last minute? Okay. Let's do our plugs. Walter, I'll start with you.
Mine's as simple and the quickest. You just follow me on Twitter at Walter Alex Cruz. Right there.
Yeah.
Hey, and Walter, tell everybody how gracious of a guy I am. You know how on Twitter, I do my little thing. I piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
I'll say anything, no filter. Everybody's got to send apologies to NoDQ, MISC at gmail.com. But did I not get you the WWE 2K video game this year for PS5?
Yeah, sure did.
I did.
Yeah.
I did that out of my hard-earned money. Walter Cruz got hooked up, but he got a Virtue shirt. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll do my plugs. I normally go last, but follow me on Twitter because that's where the fun is at NoDQ_Virtue. Jeff Meacham.
A lot of stuff coming up on the Jeff Meacham Network starting on Monday. The upper panel is JJ's channel. The Renegades reviews are back. We're doing movie reviews of Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Everything else there is on the Jeff Meacham Network. You've got Dwayne Johnson's greatest movies, The Rock's greatest matches, Ask the Dads, Talk Wrestling, which is also on this channel, The Greg Cherry Show, Open Mic Night, and full coverage, predictions, and watch-alongs on show day for WrestleMania Backlash and Double or Nothing. And if we end up getting $20 in Super Chats total by the end of this month, which is Saturday, but we'll go extend it into May 2nd. How about that? We will watch along Impact's show next weekend, Under Siege.
All right. And I'm going to do my shout out to Colin the Cleaver, Andrew, NoDQ.com/Colin. And he'll be back on the show one of these days.
Oh,
and of course,
by the way, happy birthday. I forgot that.
There you go. I'm going to let Aaron close this show now because I think another super chat snuck in. But Aaron, it's all up to you on when we go to bed.
All right, we're officially after dark now. Johnny Boy sent in a $5 super chat, says, do you think Riddle will turn to do jealousy of Cody and Randy's relationship? Kind of saw a bit of that on Raw. I like that.
Why not?
You saw the
Not a bad idea.
break up. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, like they could just subtly do this over the next couple of weeks where Randy's getting very chatty with Cody Rhodes, reminiscing about old times. And meanwhile, Riddle is starting to feel a little bit of resentment that he's losing his bestie to Cody Rhodes.
It'll work as long as you get him the hell away from the weed gimmick and just make him a badass MMA person. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, but that would be nice long-term storytelling to just slowly tease it. Like maybe just a backstage segment on Raw. Riddle is looking for Orton and Orton's off talking to Cody and it's throwing him off a little bit. And maybe he loses a match. Maybe he loses two matches because Randy has got his attention elsewhere. And it just slowly builds up to where maybe Riddle finally snaps.
He gets jumped by the Prophets and never comes out to help Riddle because he's been back with Cody. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like that idea a lot. That's definitely something they could do. All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says DJ Meacham versus Bart Gunn in an Inferno rap battle.
Wow. I might actually be interested in that.
It must be nice to have money to waste on shit like that.
Yeah. Tune me in if that happens.
Okay, I'll let you know, Virtue. I'll put you on I'll put you on the guest list for VIP seats, I promise.
I'll super chat you some lyrics to help you out.
Oh, Aaron wants Jeff to start rapping.
DJ Meacham in the house.
Word. That's it. No. Try again.
All right. DJ Meacham is done for the night. So
I gotta get home and eat my dinner, y'all. I got Panda Express waiting for me. It's 7 o'clock over here.
Oh, well, we do not want to deprive you of your Panda Express. Man's got to eat. All right, guys. So thank you all for everybody that did tune in live. And if you're watching this on demand, thank you as well. We appreciate that. I guess the NFL draft was on tonight.
It's okay. We go on. We got our loyal
Aaron, you want to mention if the contest you're doing, if they subscribe and prove that they subscribe?
We already did that. I announced the winners.
You announced the winners today. But he's not paying attention.
Yeah, but you didn't announce me buying the shirt.
Oh,
buy the shirt.
This shirt's also available on NoDQ.com/merch.
You didn't announce that.
If you want to be a bot.
shirt, if they follow you and then follow me and prove that they follow
and the NoDQ logo is on the back.
All right, Walter, say that again so everybody gets it.
If you follow Aaron and NoDQ and then you follow me and you prove it that you followed both of us, I'm gonna pick a random person and buy them a shirt, whatever shirt they want off of NoDQ.com.
All right, so as you guys can see the handle right there, make sure you guys follow Walter.
Pay it forward. See, I get him the video game, and he's going to get somebody a T-shirt. See, and he got my T-shirt, which is why I got him the video game. See how that works?
Jeff?
Virtue, over on my channel, we have JJ volunteering to be your next debate opponent if you are so inclined.
We got to get with Aaron. I mean, him, Robbie, Colin wants to do it. So, yeah, I got some fresh opponents, right? We want some different opponents. This will be fun. Thing is, we have to make sure we have the right topics so we can go back and forth. We don't want to have topics.
People are asking you and I to do it. We agree on way too much. It wouldn't be entertaining. So
we'll get to that's like kind of a summertime thing coming up here. Right. So we'll get some lined up.
That's the problem with me too. I agree with Virtue.
Saturday nights maybe, or we'll figure that out.
Yeah, Jeff, that's my issue too. I agree with Virtue too much.
Yeah, it's much more fun when it's civil but still discussable. He's from inside.
Well,
Aaron,
DJ Jeff Meacham, go ahead and get us some music playing as we sign off for the night. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
What is this god awful backup music I use all the time on my stuff?
Yo, it's Jeff Meacham, the West Coast professor.
Yo,
he's a wrestling dad. He's glad to be here on NoDQ.com.
Hi, guys.
All right, everyone.
Yes, NoDQ. Damn it.
Have a great night. On behalf of myself, Virtue, Walter Cruz, and DJ Jeff Meacham, that's his new gimmick now, just like Happy Corbin got his gimmick. DJ Meacham, we say good night.